Hi everybody, old Gare here with my buddy Tuffy, my fishing buddy, and we've been catching crappie this week. I know you have too if you've been out, because the crappie fishing has really been good here in the Ozarks from all the lakes. We have this report for you today. Good bass fishing too. A few walleye are being caught. Hey, it sounds fishy to me this weekend. Let's go fishing now.
Fish and Chums!
Well, we had a little bit of rain today on Thursday, but Friday's going to be good, Saturday, Sunday, and several days next week. Boy, it's a fishy time of the year, isn't it? Boy, there's been a lot of fish caught. Well, I've been fishing out at Table Rock the last few days, Tuffy and I, and boy, we have caught bass, we've caught crappie, we've caught walleye. Now, for the crappie, we've been doing good. You know, we're not catching huge numbers, but the crappie we're catching are really nice size. Boy, that makes up for it. Boy, we love that crappie fishing, don't we, Tuffy? Yeah. In fact, Tuffy has to kiss every crappie we catch. He just loves crappie fishing. Anyway, I was up Long Creek the last couple of days. Tuesday, I was out with my good friends, Branson musicians, Mark and Ashley. Ashley is a great drummer. My gosh, what a drummer. And Mark is an awesome bass player, been around the Branson scene for years. He's with the Clay Cooper Show now. And we were out on Long Creek the other day on Tuesday, picked up several nice crappie. And I want to tell you a little secret. The shad are starting to move back into creek arms and the contributory arms of the creeks, and they're starting to spawn. They're starting to look at spawning activities. So what's happening, the predators are following them up there. And so we caught walleye in the last couple of days. The other day with Mark, I picked up a 20-incher. Yesterday I ended up with a 22-inch walleye, and that's just wild crappie fishing. And so I talked to a bass angler that was out there yesterday or day before, and he picked up some nice walleye on Tuesday by using jerk baits bass fishing. So walleye. They're starting to move up these creek arms. They're looking for that shad, those shad. So you never know what you're going to pick up when you're fishing at Table Rock. And so Long Creek's been good. The other day when I went out on Tuesday, the water temperature was 63 degrees. And then when I left in the early afternoon, it got up to 66. So the water temperature anyways, over 60, pretty well lake wide. So that's a good number. I like that water temperature right in there. And the bass fishing's been good. I was out at Joe Ballpark, just launched there the other day on Saturday, picked up 3 keeper bass. And what I tried a variety of baits, but I tell you what, I went to the old reliable Ned rig. I was fishing around 12, 14 feet of water and picked up 3 nice keepers in a couple hours time. So you can use a variety of baits at Table Rock right now. You can pick up some fish on the Carolina rig off the points and secondary points. You can pick up bass, flukes, swim baits, grubs. Like I mentioned the last couple of weeks here, I like that 1/4 ounce jig head with that number, like a 4-inch salt and pepper grub. You've been picking up fish on brown jigs with your favorite trailer. Okay, honey, you can get down. Oops, sorry, baby. You can pick up brown jigs with your favorite trailers, put a little color on it, orange chartreuse, and pitch it up around the brush. And one of my favorite baits this time of the year on Table Rock and Bull Shoals is the plastic lizard. I love the lizard fish, especially when that lake's up a little bit, like it is at Bull Shoals. It's up about 7 foot, and there's a lot of fish in the brush. Pitch that lizard up there in that brush, make it weedless, and pull it right through the brush, then drop it. Hang on, they're going to hit that lizard, I promise you. So good fishing out at Table Rock, and we'll get to Bull Shoals in a second. By the way, there's been a few white bass being caught. They're starting to school a little bit. And I overlooked it just about. There's been some top water action at Table Rock as well. I love that pop-R this time of the year. I love it anytime, but pop-Rs have been picking up some fish, so don't overlook that. Okay, Lake Taneycomo, good reports this week. They've been, releasing a couple units of generators, a couple generators all week. But this weekend, sometimes they shut that down a little bit, maybe just run partial. So if they are running generators, drift fishing's been good. You can catch fish, nice trout on drifting night crawlers. Minnows have been real good again this week. And by the way, the night crawlers, you don't have to use a big old night crawler. Use a third of it. Put that on that hook, maybe a little split shot up above it. You're going to catch fish by doing this. They're hitting minnows real good. And if they're not running too much water at Taneycomo this weekend, I like to anchor fish. I anchor right off the kind of the deep ledge, and I'll do a couple different things. One, I'll just jig fish off the bottom or put a power bait on the bottom. But my favorite thing to do when they're not running much water, yep, that's right, that little jig, that little brown or olive green jig, 32nd ounce on 2 or 4 pound test. Pitch that out towards the deep water, count it down to about 12, and then slow roll it in, jig it in. You're going to catch some trout by using this method. So Taneycomo looks good for trout fishing this weekend. Boy, get out there and get with it. Okay, Bull Shoals, my gosh, I've got a photo I got to show you. The K-Dock area has really been producing some excellent crappie fishing this last week. Look, this last weekend, they were catching a lot of crappie right off the dock at K-Dock. Now look at these kids. Boy, now there's a picture. I love to show pictures of kids catching fish. Look at those smiles. So K-Dock, somebody asked me the other day, they emailed me, is K-Dock open, the dock? Absolutely it's open. They've been open, and stop by and see the guys. You know, they've had kind of a rough weather-wise the last few years. There's always floods or something going on. A little tornado hit that area earlier a few weeks ago, but they're going great. And somebody asked me, can you put a boat in? Absolutely. You know, when you come down that hill and you can go right to the K-Dock Road, well, just that parking lot down there. Here's a picture of it, by the way. I took it. You can actually launch your boat right in that parking lot. So you can put a boat into Bull Shoals up around that K-Dock area. Crappie fishing is good. They've been picking up some walleye there too, and the bass fishing is good as well. Speaking of bass fishing, pretty well lake-wide, there's been a variety of baits catching fish. The lake is up, as I mentioned, about 7 feet. And so get back in the coves and the creek arms, and there's some new brush area. And those bass are in some of that brush tops and down in the brush. That lizard will work. Plastic worms, nothing wrong with a Texas rig plastic worm, but I really like that lizard this time of the year when they're up in that brush. Pitch it in that brush, work it right through that brush weedless. You're going to catch them. They've been picking up fish on Carolina rigs out on the points and secondary points. Been picking up fish on flukes, swim baits, brown jigs with your favorite trailer around some of the docks and around some of the brush. Good fishing at Bull Shoals. There's been some nice bass caught this week. So get out to Bull Shoals this weekend. Bass, crappie, few walleye are being caught. Looks good. Stockton Lake is producing some pretty good fishing. There have been some limits of crappie caught out there this week. Some of the fish are up close to the bank. Some of the boys have been using jigs with a float up above it about 12 inches near the bank. Other people are pitching jigs up near the bank and jigging it back. Other people have been catching fish in the brush piles in about 12, 15 feet of water. So crappie fishing looks good there at Stockton this weekend. And the walleye have picked up at Stockton a little bit. They've been picking up some fish on the points and secondary points, mainly the points. Jigging night crawler, pitching that out 8, 10, 12, 15 feet of water, dragging it down those points, kind of drifting it, jigging it, casting. You might catch yourself some walleye at Stockton this weekend. And by the way, a few bass have been caught off the bluffs and back in the creek areas. Windy day, spinner baits have been good, crankbaits have been good, some jerk baits have been good, and some fluke type baits. So Stockton looks pretty good this weekend. Let's go out to Palmy. My gosh, Pomme de Terre has been having excellent crappie fishing this past weekend and this week. They've been picking up fish on the shoreline, just right off the shoreline. In fact, I've got a picture. I want to show you this picture right here. And this is Donna Timmons and her husband Cliff were out the other day and picked up a beautiful, nice limit of crappie. So Pomme de Terre looks good for this weekend for crappie fishing. Get out there and get bit. Okay, let's go to Truman Lake. My golly, over the past weekend were there a lot of people out at Truman. There were people everywhere. You had a hard time finding a place to park your rig after you put the boat in. But, you know, nice thing about Truman, some of you people listening to this report up in Kansas City and the city areas that don't have a boat, that want to get out this weekend and catch some fish, you can go to Truman this weekend and just fish right off the bank. Stop at your local bait shop. There's several good ones there in the Truman area. Pick yourself up a bucket of minnows, get some floats, get out there on a bank, and you're liable to catch a limit of fish. Who knows? My golly, they're catching a lot of fish out there. Boat fishermen in all arms of the lake were catching fish. A lot of limits of fish caught this last few days and over the past weekend. Looks good for this weekend because of this beautiful weather. Get out at Truman. By the way, I've got a picture I want to show you. I really, really enjoyed Brian Thomas. Now this is a great, Brian, I got this picture of Brian. He's got it made. He went to Truman the other day, picked up a limit of crappie, went mushroom hunting and got a big old bag of mushrooms. Now you're talking crappie, fillets, and mushrooms in the skillet. Oh, it doesn't get any better than that. Good going, buddy. And they've been picking up some fish down below the dam as well on the bank. There's another good place you might want to bank fish. There's some good crappie fishing down below the dam, and jigs and minnows, you know the routine. You should be able to catch some fish at Truman. I know you'll be able to catch some fish at Truman this weekend. Lake of the Ozarks, boy, great crappie fishing. My golly, I talked to a buddy of mine from Kansas City who was out the other day, and he got there late. He never got there till 10 o'clock, and he said between 11 and 12, they had their limit. That's how hot it was late morning. So good crappie fishing out at Lake of the Ozarks in all arms. So get out there this weekend, take advantage of this great crappie fishing. At the end of the docks, they're picking up some crappie as well. So looks good. Well, we want to thank you very much. One other quick report. We don't get to talk about this, but we had a couple of people asking if once in a while we could talk about Norfolk over in Arkansas. Part of it's in Missouri, but they have been having some good walleye fishing there. Walleye fishing really picked up in about 20 feet of water. You may want to check this out. We want to thank you for being with us today. Be sure to like and share, and be sure to tell your friends about our show and subscribe. We'd really love to have your subscription. Just subscribe. We really appreciate it. Any photos, any information. We've been getting a lot of emails. Email us at fishandchums@gmail.com. Have yourself a great upcoming weekend. Get out and get bit. See you next week.